You got dumped, and your ex has an avoidant attachment style, either a fearful one or a dismissive one. But either way, you went into no contact, but now they've reached out to you, but they don't want you back. Not necessarily. What they want is friendship. And the question, of course, that you have is, should you accept friendship from your avoidant ex? Could that lead you back into a romantic relationship with them, or would you forever be stuck in friend zone? Hi, I'm Coach Jeff Campbell, so let's talk about it. So first, let's answer the question of why an avoidant ex might want friendship with you rather than nothing and rather than a romantic relationship. And the answer is simple. It allows them to keep you in their orbit as a possible backup option in case they don't find anything better. And it also allows them to have most of the benefits of having you in their life without any of the commitment or romantic entanglements. Remember, with most avoidants, their number one fear is losing their independence. And if you're just a friend, they say he's just a friend. If you're just a friend, they don't have anything to worry about. And they also genuinely believe that they can separate platonic feelings from romantic feelings. And remember, we're talking about an avoidant here. So of course, they are masters at pretending their feelings aren't there and squashing them down and not being vulnerable with anybody else. And if they're just your friend, they don't have to be vulnerable. Dismissive avoidants are basically going to see this as a logical solution, whereas the fearful avoidant, who tends to become anxiety-ridden when their primary partner pulls away, which is what you did when you went into no contact, they're going to see it more like a safety net. In other words, they're not completely casting you aside, and you're going to always be there waiting in the wings on the back burner if they need you. Now, of course, many people accept friendship after a breakup. They think it's going to lead back into a full-fledged romantic relationship. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes that does happen, but guess what? Most of the time it does not. Especially if you're the guy and your avoidant ex is a woman and they dumped you. The number one thing that attracts men to women is confidence and being self-assured and being calm and steady and reliable. And if you accept friendship when they know you wanted a romantic relationship, that makes you look weak. But think about the hidden costs if you accept friendship with your avoidant ex. For starters, they're going to be dating other people, and they may even be introducing you to these people because remember, you're just a friend. And you're going to have to be sitting there waiting in the wings, watching them date these other people, and you're going to have to be okay with it if you want to remain friends. And especially if you're using this as a strategy to win them back, if you lose your crap every time they go out with somebody, that's going to make you look even more pathetic. Plus, if you really love this person and you desperately want them back, you're going to delay your own healing by staying in a friendship with them and having regular ongoing contact. You need time and space away from them in order to really process the breakup and deal with your grief and move on in a healthy way. And because of that, you're really going to struggle to ever develop new romantic connections with other people. So here are some signs that the reason you're accepting friendship from your avoidant ex is that you just can't let go and you're holding on out of fear. Number one, you secretly hope that being friends with them will eventually lead back into a full-fledged romantic relationship. Two, you can't imagine your life without them, at least in some capacity. Three, you're willing to accept their crumbs rather than a complete loss of them in your life. And number four, you feel anxious or even devastated at the thought of saying no to their offer of friendship. All of those, of course, are rooted in fear. And anytime we make a decision based on fear, it's going to be the wrong decision. Now, having said all of that, there are a few times and a few circumstances where maybe friendship is the right move for you after a breakup. So here are some signs that you might be genuinely ready for friendship with your avoidant ex. One, you've completely healed from the breakup. Enough time and space has happened to where you've dealt with the grief, you've dealt with the pain, you've really moved on. And when you see them, you're not anxious, you're not fear-ridden, you're not angry, you're not upset, you are neutral. Two, you can imagine them dating other people and it will have no impact on you and your mental health. Three, you have a rich, fulfilling life and you're doing stuff. You have friends, you have family, you have fun, you're dating other people, and there's lots of stuff going on in your life that have nothing to do with your ex. In other words, you're not making them the center of your world. And number four, you want friendship with your ex because you genuinely like them as a person and you genuinely feel a certain level of compatibility with them as a friend, and you don't want anything beyond that. Now let's answer the million-dollar question. Can exes actually be friends? And I'm going to be really frank with you. If you are already in a new relationship and or your ex is already in a new relationship, make sure that anything that you do with your ex involves the other partners. It is not appropriate for you and your ex to be hanging out one-on-one, especially if alcohol is involved and especially in the evening if you or they are in a committed relationship with somebody else. That's just not appropriate. But friendship with an ex always works best when there's been a decent amount of time apart that's allowed you to heal and grow from the loss of the relationship. Jumping into a friendship with your ex immediately after a breakup is never a good idea because you obviously haven't had any time yet to heal from the breakup. And avoidant exes especially really struggle with blurred lines between friendships and romantic relationships. And even if you're clear that you only want friendship with your ex, they might not be, especially if you're out together and there might be something like alcohol involved, which can lower our inhibitions and sometimes cause us to do things that we'd previously only thought about doing. So take the time to really heal after a breakup. Go into no contact and don't reach out to your ex for any reason. Take this time to focus on becoming the very best version of you that you can be, and hopefully they're doing the same. Get into therapy if you need to do that, if you think that will help you. But get into a good mindset to where you are happy with your life, it's rich and fulfilling, and you don't need them to feel whole and complete. Then and only then should you consider an offer of friendship from them. Okay, so let's say though that you have accepted their offer of friendship and you and your avoidant ex are now in a friendship relationship. What can you expect? Well, because you have previous romantic history, you're likely going to see some of the same inconsistent push-pull dynamics that you saw when you were romantically involved with them. They'll be distant. They may pull back without warning. They may keep everything surface level and never let you in on a deep emotional level, just like when you were in a relationship. And if you need emotional support or you find yourself developing romantic feelings for them again, you're absolutely going to see them pull away and push you away. And they'll definitely want you to be there for them as a shoulder to cry on, but they're not likely going to offer that in return. Remember, their avoidant patterns don't just suddenly disappear because you're now platonic. This is who they are, and until they become aware of their issues and work with a qualified therapist to work through them, they're always going to be this way. Remember, I do offer one-on-one coaching if I can help you with any problem. That can be in the form of a phone call, a Zoom session, or you can simply email me your problem and I'll record a custom video just like this one and get it back to you within a few weekdays. If you need more info on that, it's down in the description or on this card right up here. So now let's talk about some of the reasons that you might want to say no to an offer of friendship from your avoidant ex. Well, for starters, you saying no actually gives you that time and space that you need to heal from the breakup. If you say no to them, you've got to draw a clear line in the sand that you don't want to hear from them, and you've got to be willing to block them if they violate that boundary. Also, by telling them no to friendship, you're not looking weak. You are being clear. You only want a romantic relationship with them, and if you can't have that, you don't want anything. That shows them that you value yourself more than you value the relationship. And even though they offered friendship because it seems like that's what they wanted, by saying no and valuing yourself more than them, that actually makes you look more attractive. And again, especially if you're the guy and your ex is a woman, women look for that confidence, and there's nothing more confident than you saying no. But also by saying no, it forces them to come to terms with what life is going to be like without you in their life in any capacity. If you're still hanging around as a friend, they haven't really lost you, and they haven't really lost a lot of what you used to do for them. By saying no and exiting their life, they're going to have to deal with the consequences of breaking up with you. And actually, if anything is going to cause them to come back to you, it's probably that. And finally, by saying no to their offer of friendship, it actually opens up the doors in your life to find people who really value you and to find a rich, fulfilling relationship that will blow your old one out of the water. But for the most part, I've been talking about avoidance very generally here, but there are some key differences between fearful avoidance and dismissive avoidance. So let's look at some specifics with regards to accepting platonic friendship from both of those. Fearful avoidants are going to cycle a lot more dramatically between wanting closeness, which could blur into the lines of the romantic, and pulling away. Dismissive avoidants are more likely to stay firmly in the friend zone, but your friendship with them is going to be fairly shallow. There's not going to be any really deep, emotionally vulnerable conversation. Fearful avoidants might also send mixed signals about what they're feeling, and you may find yourself very confused as to whether or not they want to stay in a platonic friendship or if they want something more. And they may not even know themselves. Dismissive avoidants, however, are masters at really compartmentalizing their feelings, and they have lots of different buckets for all the different areas of their life, and they don't really like for those to overlap much. They're not going to have nearly as hard a time keeping you in the friend zone. And as you guessed it, if you are doing this because you want them back, it's far more likely the fearful avoidant will come back by accepting friendship than the dismissive avoidant. If you've watched this far, you're probably seriously considering their offer of friendship. So I want you to ask yourself the following questions before you decide. Number one, can you handle seeing them move on and get into new relationships, maybe get into serious committed relationships, or even get married? Can you handle that as their friend? Are you really secretly hoping that this is just a stepping stone to get back into a romantic relationship? Do you have the emotional bandwidth to rebuild trust with them purely as friends? Remember, they dumped you and they brought a lot to the table in terms of destructive behavior patterns that ultimately led to them dumping you. And I'm not saying you didn't contribute to the demise of the relationship, but they may very well have contributed more, and they may very well have done things that broke your trust. And even as their platonic friend, you're going to want to rebuild that trust, and they have to be willing to do their part. And lastly, is this friendship helping your healing or preventing it? Real quick, I have a free PDF guide called The 7 Psychological Triggers That Make an Ex Regret Losing You, and you can get it for free down in the description or on this card right up here. Clearly, I don't think it's a great idea to be friends with your avoidant ex. And if I haven't made that clear, that is absolutely what I'm thinking. Now, as a complete aside to that, if they don't want to be in a committed relationship with you, but they want a sort of friends with benefits kind of situation, that actually could springboard back into a full-fledged relationship, as long as you're not too pushy and you let them come and go at their pace. But pure friendship, I think in most cases, is going to be a terrible idea. So here is how to decline their offer without really burning the bridge and without making some big dramatic show of it. First, be honest with them. You need more time and space away from them following the breakup in order to really heal yourself and to feel good about moving forward. And you don't think friendship with them is a good idea until you've done that. Express that friendship isn't what you want from them right now. It's okay to one time clearly state what it is that you do want. Say something like, I love you and I loved our relationship and I know we had some issues, but if you don't want a romantic relationship with me, I can't give you just friendship. And I don't think it would be fair to either one of us if we're not really being honest about what it is that we want and what it is that we're willing to give. And it's okay to leave the door open as long as they're not bombarding you on a regular basis, because that will also delay your healing. So say something like, I'm not saying we can't enjoy a beautiful friendship somewhere down the road, and when I feel like I'm ready for that, I'll let you know. And that sets a firm boundary. You're clearly indicating that you will reach out to them when you are ready, and it implies that you don't want them reaching out to you. If they do start to reach out to you, then I would set a clearer boundary and say, hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't reach out to me right now. I'm really kind of struggling with this, and I really want my healing journey to be complete before we talk again. So please don't reach out again. I'll let you know when I'm ready. And then if they keep reaching out after that, you know that they don't respect you at all, and you should just block them on every platform. And now the flip side of that. Here are the only circumstances where I think it's even remotely possible for a friendship with your avoidant ex to actually work. 1, you've had at least 6 months, if not 12 months, of no contact with them following the breakup. That's plenty of time for you to have done a lot of healing and soul searching and have moved on with your life. And the same is true for them. Both of you have dated other people since the breakup and maybe are currently dating other people. Now, up until now, I've not talked about children. And if you have children with your avoidant ex, that obviously creates a much different scenario where you can't go into no contact, but you should go into what's called limited contact, where you really only communicate about business items like kids or bills. And lastly, if both of you are aware of attachment wounds, attachment issues, and you're both doing the work to heal your attachment wound, because you might very well have an attachment wound yourself, because people with attachment wounds often come together. And the most typical scenario is an avoidant woman and an anxious man. Ultimately, when you get an offer of friendship from your avoidant ex, remember that your healing is more important than protecting their ego. And if you can engage with them as a platonic friend without any emotional risk to your mental health, then you should not accept their offer of friendship. You should cut your losses, move on, set a clear boundary, and block them if you need to.